welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax TV. When conservatives in Congress do a service for the nation by pointing out facts, they deserve to be applauded. Tonight, Americans of every political persuasion, race, color, and creed owe conservative Nancy Mace, Republican from South Carolina, a debt of gratitude. Proving America isn't racist, using facts, not emotion. That's our focus in tonight's preamble. A few weeks back, we told you about a Texas socialist named Sinfronia Thompson. This woman has been in the Texas legislature since 1972. She was among over 50 other socialists who abandoned her post so that Texas couldn't pass laws, including an election integrity law. Contrary to what you've heard from the biased press, the only people this law prevents from voting are dead and ineligible people. Among other positive things, the bill makes it harder to cheat when using a vote-by-mail system. Now, one of the other Texas Democrat socialists who abandoned their posts to go hobnob in Washington, D.C., is a guy by the name of Rafael Anchia, a loudmouth leftist Latino, who said this about voting by mail in 2007.
There's another wonderful loophole in this bill that creates a glaring weakness. It essentially allows vote by mail to continue without photo identification. Vote by mail, that we know is the greatest source of voter fraud in this state.
Wow. According to Democrat socialists in and out of the press, voter fraud doesn't exist. Now we all hear one of them actually saying that vote by mail is the single biggest source of fraud. Strange that Democrats want to stop a bill that stops the cheating. Still, it's Mr. Anchia and Ms. Thompson's right to vote against the bill, but they refuse, knowing they will lose. And because Texans want them to do the jobs they volunteered and ran for election to do, the socialists now claim that their job in the Texas legislature is tantamount to, well, you know, slavery.
We refuse to be a hostage.
That's right.
To remain a hostage within the state of Texas. And I know that there are search warrants out for us, and I'm ready to be arrested. What do you do to a slave if you don't do nothing but arrest them when they flee? We fled Texas, and if they want to arrest me, go ahead. I'm ready to be arrested.
Enter Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Through a series of fact-based questions and answers, Congresswoman Mace made Sinfronia Thompson, the self-proclaimed slave, look like a silly child.
Do y'all need IDs to buy alcohol when you're purchasing at the store?
Yes, to be sure that you are capable of doing that.
Right. Do you need an ID when you're getting a job and trying to get on payroll in Texas?
Yes.
But do you need an ID for some prescriptions
Yes,
in
you
Texas?
do. Yes.
Do you need an ID to get Social Security services in Texas?
You do.
Do you need an ID to rent an apartment in Texas?
Yes.
Do you need an ID if you're going to buy a house and finance it via a mortgage in Texas?
Yes.
Who knew that asking for ID to buy a house was racist? Oh, this gets even more delicious. Watch.
Do you need an ID in Texas if you're going to board an aircraft and fly commercial?
Yes.
Did you fly commercial or fly a private jet on the way to D.C.?
A chartered plane.
Do you have to show an ID when you fly in a private charter jet?
Yes.
I wouldn't know. I've never flown on one. Did you need an ID to get in the building here today?
Yes.
Do you need an ID in Texas to open a bank account?
Yes.
To cash your check if you're working.
So wait, the white woman has never flown in a private chartered plane, but the entitled black woman who has been in government for 50 years, the self-proclaimed slave, she's flown in a private jet. Yes, we can all see how racist America is against blacks. From there, Congresswoman Mace, conservative, South Carolina, dispelled the myth that blacks are prevented from voting in conservative states like Texas.
Do you know how many whites are registered to vote in Texas?
Far more than African Americans.
72%. You have 70% of blacks in Texas who are registered to vote. You have 72% of whites in Texas who are registered to vote. Do you know what percentage of Hispanics are registered to vote in Texas?
No, I do not.
63%. Do you know what percentage of Hispanics voted in the last election?
I think it was over 40%.
53%. Hispanics are not voting in as high a numbers as blacks and whites in Texas.
Oh, so it's Hispanics, the larger minority demographic that lags behind blacks and whites in voter registration in Texas. Can we say that blacks in Texas are actually leading to Hispanic voter suppression? Of course we can't. Only socialists would make such a silly argument. But reality does kind of undermine the whole slave hostage claim made by Texas degenerate Democrats, doesn't it? Then Congresswoman Mace decides to educate Sinfronia Thompson on how Americans prize voting integrity over the ability to cheat.
Do you know the number or percentage of Democrats who support voter ID in this country?
I do not, but I don't think it's a whole lot.
72%. Do you know the number of black and brown and African Americans in this country who support voter ID?
No.
75%. Do you know the number of Hispanics that support voter ID in this country?
No.
81%. Do you know where the state of Texas is ranked with black voter turnout in this country?
With black voters turnout?
Mm-hmm. Do you know where Texas is ranked?
Oh, 44%.
The latest numbers that I read this morning was that Texas is ranked 10th.
Wow. So wait, according to Sinfronia Thompson, she and her socialists are slaves in Texas, but black voter participation ranks Texas 10th out of 50 states in the top 10 of our nation. But did you catch how 72% of Democrats support voter ID? Did you catch how many blacks support voter ID? 75%. Liberty-loving Latinos support voter ID by a whopping 81%. Who knew Democrat socialists are calling nearly 3/4 of their own voters racists? Who knew that socialist Democrats think 75% of blacks and 81% of Latinos are racist in their support of voter ID? I guess we shouldn't be surprised, though. Over 60% of Americans opposed Obamacare, but the socialists shoved it down our throats anyway. And now it looks like they're trying to do the same thing with voting, with H.R. 1 and S1, bills that would outlaw voter ID, a provision that is favored by 80% of Americans, regardless of race, color, or creed. You know, I also find it curious that Sinfronia Thompson had no idea how many Democrats support voter ID. Do you know why she has no idea? Because she and her party don't really care. As they showed us with Obamacare, when folks elect socialist Democrats, they are electing people who vote in their own best interest, ignoring the will of their voters. That's why it perplexes me why so many still vote for that party that once elected forces their own voters to do things their own voters don't want to do. One wonders how these shrubs keep getting elected after time and time again legislating against their own voters in favor of small but very rich elites. Americans want free and fair elections. Socialist Democrats never want to lose another election. So, as was the case with Obamacare, the American people and the Democrat Party, well, we're at odds. Now, once you cut through all the crap being flung by the socialists and being echoed by the left-wing press, everything becomes clear. We need serious and sober leaders, not overgrown children stomping their feet on the ground, pretending it's 1865 in an effort to shred the U.S. Constitution. The truth is, America has had a racist past, but that's where we left racism. In the past, our people, through a lot of hard work and pain, united into a society, a colorblind society, that Dr. King would be proud of. The facts are clear. America isn't racist. The facts are also clear. The biggest obstacle standing in the way of a United States of America, a free nation under God, is the Socialist Democrat Party.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.